Well, for the most powerful voice in business in Michigan. The Michigan Chamber Business Brief is happening now. Mike Alaimo here, the Director of Environmental and Energy Affairs. Mike, likes to have you back on the program. I'm confused about what I'm reading here, so you're going to have to help me sort this out. The way I understand this, a new Michigan House proposal would ban naturally occurring radioactive materials in Michigan landfills. Would have a big impact. I think, what do you mean naturally? What does this mean, naturally occurring? And if it's naturally occurring, how would you ban it? I'm confused. Please help me. I'm not that bright.
No, I totally understand, Steve. It's a technical kind of in the weeds issue, and of course, that's why the chamber is here is to help folks understand what these issues are all about and how they might impact their jobs, their livelihoods. TENORM is technically enhanced naturally occurring radioactive material, which is a mouthful, and that's why we use that acronym. But essentially, if you're looking at the automotive sector, our industries in waste, paper mills or packaging materials, uh, remediation of radon or medical waste, all of these things have waste streams that include some radioactivity. It's low level and it poses little to no risk to the public health. And in fact, there are methods to ensure that it doesn't pose any risk to the public health. And we have a bill out there that would ban it because, of course, it has a stigma associated with it. Nobody likes the idea of radioactive material.
Sure.
But the chamber believes in being good stewards of our community and our environment, and that means being able to dispose of this naturally occurring waste stream from industry. So having these landfills, frankly, is an asset to Michigan for our manufacturing base, for our economy, so that we're able to dispose of this material properly. And so banning it outright doesn't really solve a problem. It just makes it more expensive for our economy to function.
What would we do? First of all, is there any threat to the environment or to the safety of? Because here's what people say: well, it's going to poison the children. Is there any threat to the groundwater, to the air, to the trees? Is there a threat there? Let's just put that right out there.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very good question. No, and we would argue it's a threat if you don't dispose of it, right? If you don't dispose of it properly, then it's sitting out there or potentially exposing the public health. So that's why we have landfill operations that are heavily regulated by both the state and, in this case, federal permitting as well, to say you have to be able to dispose of this in a landfill that can handle this material to make sure it doesn't move into groundwater or doesn't migrate from that landfill site. The radioactivity has a very short half life, and so it does break down fairly quickly over time. But again, in the meantime, you need to be able to dispose of it so that it's not out there. And what we are finding is that if you can't take it to Michigan, then you need to be going to Ohio or Indiana for lower levels. If it's a higher level of radioactive material, then you're looking as going as far as Utah or west of the Mississippi to truck this material out there. And of course, over the road trucking isn't exactly the safest method for transporting something that could be toxic to people. And so, again, this is just making problems where we've already have a solution in place.
Yeah. So it would, again, and one of the industries I'm reading here, Mike, that would be most heavily impacted, the automotive industry, that's already getting pummeled because of bad policies on EVs and mandates and all sorts of things like that. And again, it would punish General Motors. It would punish Dodge and Ram trucks. It would punish Ford Motor Company. I mean, that's, and plus municipal utilities, wastewater treatment plants, paper mills, healthcare industries, all would be getting hammered under this, what seems to be pointless legislation. We're already fully regulated in this regard. What is this like a, hey, look, we're good people? Is this virtue signaling at the expense of industry?
Yeah, where this all kind of came from is, and folks in the Southeast Michigan region likely saw some headlines around a facility in Southeast Michigan that was permitted to take material from the Manhattan Project, right? And so, of course, Manhattan Project filled the headlines, and people got concerned about that because they didn't understand it. And so, again, this is material that was sanctioned by the Army Corps of Engineers, federally permitted to be taken to this facility. That it was permitted under the state for this facility to take this material. And so it's following the letter of the law. It's ensuring that it's not a risk to public health. But that's what's kind of driving this, is more of a political argument than a policy argument. And of course, we at the Chamber believe that we need to have good policy that separates the emotion from the facts and make sure that we're doing the right thing for our business community. This bill doesn't do that. And as you point out, wastewater treatment plants, huge implications for where we're able to take our wastewater sludge. Again, sludge isn't a fun word, but we all know that we want clean drinking water. That means we have to have the ability to treat that drinking water, to refine that drinking water and clean it. That means there's a byproduct from that. And so we have to be able to dispose of that. And transportation is a massive cost associated with that. The farther you make the transportation of it, the more taxpayers are going to pay.
Mike, I think you're being very, very cynical about this. I mean, we're going to transport this to Utah in EV 18-wheelers, and that will save the planet. You see, you're not understanding, Mike. 18-wheelers powered by electric batteries that we'll put in the landfill later that do have heavy metal contaminants. And by the way, if it burns down a warehouse or two because the batteries catch fire, don't worry about that, Mike. You're focused on the wrong thing.
Maybe I'm missing the big picture here, Steve, but at the end of the day, we have members very concerned about this.
They should be.
And look, you mentioned a lot of those sectors that are affected. That's economy wide. We want our members to be able to invest. Automotive, one of the things that we're finding out is when you retrofit an automotive facility, that a lot of the material and machinery that comes out has radioactivity to it because
it does.
It's been through heavy industrial processing, and that's just a byproduct of it. So
does sunshine.
Invest.
By the way, so does sunshine. Somebody asked me yesterday, how would you improve Michigan's economy compared to people around us? Very simple. You lower the taxes on individuals and maybe a little bit on business, but you get rid of all these rotten regulations that make it just harder and harder and harder to do business in Michigan. And I know you guys are fighting for that, but I mean, I look at businesses going to Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida because the regulations are lower and they're sensible, common sense things, not just, hey, how many things can we put in front of this business and try to mess them up? Anyhow, Mike, really appreciate you being here. We'll continue to sort it out and try to find common sense in there. Sometimes I got to look real hard. Thank you.
Yeah, no, appreciate the time, Steve. And we'll be continuing to work on this and educating lawmakers on the unintended consequences of this bill.
Collateral damage, we might call it, in the business community. michamber.com, michamber.com to learn more. And they're always there to help people understand what they're up against if you're in business. Mike, thank you so much. Mike Alaimo from the Chamber here today. We continue on Free for All Free Speech Friday. Ivy's going to join me next. Tell me what I've done wrong so far today. Probably a whole list of things. We'll get to it. Look, I can take it. Remember to follow me on Twitter. And remember, you can help support this show by becoming a paid subscriber on our Substack at The Steve Gruber Show. Exclusive content will be landing there shortly. So get to the front of the line, please. No pushing, ma'am. You'll get in. Ma'am, no pushing. Thank you.